Should've lived back in a bit, meditate, I think I should. No, we ain't friends, got me on
What's going on, guys? It's Bryce from Fitz Records, and we're back with another video on Kendrick Lamar's newly released album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It is finally here after 5 years, but before we get into that, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, follow my Twitter, my TikTok, and my Spotify down there below. My link tree's down there too with all that, so go do that. But, like I said, Kendrick Lamar finally dropped his long-awaited, anticipated album, and I'm gonna get right into that. I was a little sick. I'm recovering now. You know, my voice is still a little, you know what I'm saying? I've been coughing and stuff, but I'm feeling better now. But I had to get this video out for you guys. Even if it hurts to talk right now, I had to do it. But Kendrick Lamar did drop The Heart Part 5. Like I said in my other video that he would probably do before the album came out, with a music video. Great music video, and this song in the music video kind of almost summarizes or encapsulates what the album actually was about, just in shorter form and on a surface level. So he did have the music video, and the theme of the music video was I Am All of Us, which you can see through the music video as he talks about themes of the culture and how that affects the black community and the community of people in general, impoverished, stuff like that, hood environments, you know, where Kendrick comes from. He did this through deep fakes of 6 different people with different messages. We had O.J. Simpson, Kanye West, Jussie Smollett, Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, and Nipsey Hussle, which all encapsulates different messages of their lives and stuff that directly relates to what Kendrick is going to talk about on the album. But I think this TikTok from Dissect Podcast can actually explain this a little bit better than I did, because I think they really hit the nail on the head. So I'm just gonna play that TikTok for you guys now.
Okay, I think we just cracked the code on Kendrick Lamar's new alias, Oklama. Kendrick has been signing Oklama in all press for his upcoming album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Friend of Dissect Femi Olutade discovered that Oklama likely originates from Chata Anupa, the language of the Choctaw indigenous people. Okla, which you may recognize from Oklahoma, means people in Choctaw. The Choctaw definition for ma is a marker used when addressing someone, like my lord. So Oklama translates to my people. As Femi pointed out, within the Choctaw translations of the Bible, the phrase Oklama is often used when a poet or prophet is addressing God's people on God's behalf. Oklama, meaning my people, seems to fit exactly into the messaging of The Heart Part 5, which begins with a quote from Oklama, I am all of us. And Kendrick even specifically says my people just before he begins rapping.
All my people.
Which, knowing this going into the album, is kind of what I anticipated, and I was not disappointed, because that's almost exactly what we got, except the album kind of tackled more personal issues. I mean, this album, it covered themes of humanity, racism, sexual assault, transphobia, homophobia, domestic abuse, parental issues, personal trauma, infidelity, gender roles, toxic masculinity, and honestly, much more. I mean, that's what you expect from Kendrick Lamar. I mean, you expect something deep. So obviously, the album's super deep. This is an album that I feel like you have to take in as a whole, but I mean, that could be said with pretty much any Kendrick Lamar album. Like, listen to it front to back in order and you'll get the full message. I've seen a lot of people saying this album would work better as a book, which kind of makes sense because there's a lot of spoken word, there's a lot of poetry influence in this album, stuff like that, which makes sense because when Kendrick Lamar teased the album, he literally had a book called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So that's kind of the point. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, he makes intellectual music, you know what I'm saying? Nah, but for real, some of my favorite tracks in here are United in Grief, N95, We Cried Together. That track is crazy. Silent Hill, so good. Kodak Black, he slid on that track. I mean, shit. So when listening to the album, what I had realized that this is actually a double album. The first half of the album is The Big Steppers, and the second half is Mr. Morale, not the other way around, so backwards of what the title actually says. And if you actually look at the track list, it is a literal mirror, which can be seen by the last track being called Mirror. But if you look at this picture that I found on Reddit, you can see the interludes between, or they mirror each other, and the title tracks for each side. They mirror each other. They you know what I'm saying? They're like this, they're like this. So I think that's extremely interesting. I mean, Kendrick Lamar is known to do stuff like that with Damn. You can listen to it backward, and that's what spawned the collector's edition, where it's just the same album, but the track list is literally flipped. It's in reverse order. And these sides can be seen through the mirror in the beginning of the tracks of the first track of the Big Steppers, United in Grief. You have that choir voice that comes in, and as soon as Mr. Morale side starts, you have the choir voice at the beginning of Count on Me, which is exactly where that side of the album starts, which shows the separation of the sides of the album. If I had to choose a favorite side of the album, I'm probably gonna have to go with the Big Steppers, because it's hard. I mean, that side of the album is almost flawless. I mean, I like the other side too. This isn't a perfect album in my opinion, but it's only been like 2 days. I mean, I've listened to the album probably like 5 or so times in full, and I'm gonna need a lot longer to sit on it to grasp a full opinion on it. I mean, that's just how Kendrick Lamar albums work. But regardless, still really good. Still really happy with it. It's going to be in rotation for a very long time. I mean, this is his first album in 5 years. I mean, you get what you expect. So as far as what's the metaphorical difference between these sides is the steppers. I mean, a lot of the end of the tracks have tap dancing, and a lot of the themes on those songs seem to be like hurt people will end up hurting people, you know, humans trying to figure themselves out, figure out what's right, what's wrong, you know, struggling in their communities, you know, people are a product of their environment, going out and almost fighting for themselves in a way. And what I found is Kodak Black is throughout the album. He has a rap feature on one of the songs, but I believe he has an interlude and he's the intro to 1 or 2 other tracks. But what I took from this is Kodak Black is actually a literal metaphor of the Big Steppers, as he's a hurt person who has hurt people. I mean, it's no secret that he is a controversial figure. I mean, he has allegations against himself. I mean, he's probably not the best person, but he has been through some shit. You know, he comes from an environment that is not too great. I mean, like I just said, people are a product of their environment. So I think Kendrick used that as, like I said, a literal personification of a metaphor of the Big Steppers throughout the album, which honestly, I think it's pretty interesting. Definitely more interesting than just like making up a metaphor, but using a literal person who can add to the album and fits that stereotype is honestly kind of genius. And the other side of the album, Mr. Morale, being the morale person, you know, the politically correct person who's learning about themselves, learning to be a better person, and it's almost an evolution, which makes sense because the album's called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but you gotta be a big stepper first before you can be Mr. Morale, which is why the Big Steppers come first and then Mr. Morale comes next. You gotta struggle and figure out and cause this hurt, and then after all that, you become a moral person, and that's where the second half of the album kicks in with a lot of themes of political correctness, a lot of vulnerability and honesty, which, again, I'm gonna keep saying it, but genius. Kendrick Lamar's a genius. We've known this. So that's kind of my thoughts on the album and what I took away from it from my listens so far. What I did want to add is the last track on the album, Mirrors, is definitely seen as a goodbye letter. Of course, we knew this was going to be Kendrick Lamar's last album on TDE, but listening to this track and the lyrics on it, it almost seems like this is going to be his last album in general. It almost seems like an apology to his fans. I have a Reddit post here that kind of talks more about it, you know, with quotes that say, "I realize true love is not about saving face, but unconditional. When will you let me go? I trust you'll find independence. If not, it's all forgiven. Sorry I didn't save the world, my friend. I was too busy building mine again." Which, honestly, plays into the theme of the album of, you know, the Big Steppers coming in, struggling with life, figuring shit out for themselves, Mr. Morale, becoming the better person, learning about yourself, loving yourself, being yourself, being comfortable in your own shoes, and in the end of the album, you're so comfortable with yourself that you don't even need to do this music stuff anymore. You just need to focus on yourself and live your life for you and no one else and be selfish in that aspect. So is this Kendrick's last album? I don't know, really. It could be. I mean, I'm sure he'll do music here and there, pop out for features. I mean, whenever Baby Keem drops, he'll probably have like 3-4 features on it like he did with the Melodic Blue. But that's all I really got for you guys today. I just wanted to kind of quickly go over the album and my thoughts. You know, I don't have this, I know I didn't go like track by track deciphering all the messages of each track because we'd be here all day and I haven't listened to the album enough to even do that, but that's something I could do in the future. Maybe do a video where I decipher one side and then a video where I decipher the other side. That could be cool to do. Let me know if you want that in the comments down below. Also, let me know your favorite track on the album. What do you think about the album? Just let me know your overall thoughts on Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. What'd you think about it? Do you think this is his last album ever? Just let me know. But that's all I really got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. Like I said earlier, like, comment, subscribe down below, hit the bell, follow my TikTok, my Spotify, and my Twitter, and my link tree down there too. And yeah, it's been Bryce. Peace.